Edwin says, what if we could trade Jimmy G for Cam as a mentor and Gilmore? Do you think Cam wants to be a backup mentor? I don't think he does.
No.
I thought he wouldn't do it, but I think he wants to compete and play.
But I think there's a common misconception around 49ers Twitter about how horrible Cam Newton is. And I think that that's not true all the way. I mean, they had no weapons last year. His shoulder was hurt. He still had more on-target throws percentage-wise than Tom Brady did the year before. Nobody wants to talk about that. And he scored 21 touchdowns, albeit they're rushing. But it sounds like a productive guy to me. And they won 7 games. So It's not like people like this whole idea. Oh, Cam was awful. Did you watch him? Yes, I watched him, and I watched him win games while I had a bunch of people opt out. I have no idea how they won 7 games, but they won 7 games. They beat teams that were in the playoffs too. So
he would miss a pass here and there, but guess what, guys? Trey Lance going to do the same thing. I'm just saying. I'm just prepping you. There's going to be a throw where you're like, you really missed that one. But that's the way it's always been with Cam Newton too. You can still be an MVP caliber player with the occasional misfire.
Yep. And so look, I know 49er fans don't want Cam Newton here. I would welcome it with open arms and love it. If they're going to take on Jimmy Garoppolo's contract and we can move Cam over here to be whatever mentor and he accepts that role and you get Stephon Gilmore no matter where he is at this point. I mean, he wants an extension. That's the part with Gilmore that really hurts. Yeah. And I don't know if the 49ers should give him an extension, man. He literally from the year before was the best cover corner in the league, and then last year took a step back. And we all know after 30, that's what happens. You don't usually get better, but who knows?
Especially if you give the guy the extension. I mean,
that's the point. So the thing is
why do you think the Patriots don't want to give it to him?
It could be a revival in the way of Richard Sherman. Like they never threw towards Sherman's side, and the defense, if they have a good pass rush. But I'm not willing to bet on that, nor extend him. For a certain amount of time.
Sherman hadn't made much money in his career. He had a chip on his shoulder to make more. His best years, he was cheap, 5th round pick.
Yep.
Rod says, on a serious note, are we borderline the laughingstock because of expectations, like expecting Jimmy Garoppolo to be the next Brady, thinking Solomon Thomas Pettis was going to get break? I do think that Niner fans can be a little unrealistic sometimes, but I don't think the rest of the country is really thinking about Niner fans like that.
No, and I don't think they consider us a laughingstock. I think the book is out across, not fan bases, but the league that, Jimmy's not going to be here for too much longer, or that he's not the guy who can elevate you when you need a play. So I think that's kind of what it is. I wouldn't say laughingstock. I do think that 49er fans think that every single player on this team will break out, and I want it to happen. And that's why, I sent out a tweet saying, sleep is tough sometimes. And I stay awake at night knowing that the 49ers drafted Jalen Hurd while Terry McLaurin was on the board. And people were like, oh, but, dude, 2 years, Terry McLaurin, 2,000-yard seasons, really, really good. Jalen Hurd, 1 preseason game against the Dallas Cowboys. How does that not bother you? Why are you not bothered by that? I don't get it. That's what I'm saying. So, look,
and McLaurin was at the Senior Bowl the Niners coached.
Yes. Yeah. And I understand the whole, okay, and trust me, I know it. Hurd used to play running back. Alvin Kamara takes his job. He transfers, and he can play everywhere. Cool. I understand the positionless football thing, so you're drafting for need. My thing is that I feel like sometimes Kyle gets so locked in on one player that he misses the big picture on a lot of other guys.
Yes.
So, look, the same thing could be said about, okay, you drafted Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf on the board. Who wouldn't want either of those guys?
Right.
So let's just toss that one out. Fine. The Deebo thing is perfect because they know how to use him and know how to get him the ball in space. Fine. But the Jalen Hurd thing was more like a project, like almost like a swing for the fences. Like if you can unlock what you think Jalen Hurd is, that's fine. Terry McLaurin, I know what Terry McLaurin is. His quarterbacks were Dwayne Haskins, Kyle Allen, and Alex Smith. And he has 2,000-yard seasons being the only real weapon on the receiving core. And what would he look like in this offense? And how would that have changed the way they drafted later on? If you get Terry McLaurin and he breaks out that year, then maybe you don't draft Brandon Ayuk and you draft somebody else. I don't want to do that. It's just I love Kyle. You know it. Only chance, everything. Yeah. But it's when he gets locked in on a guy, and dismisses the rest of the board. And that's the part. And Terry McLaurin went in the 3rd round.
Dude, that's the thing with Kyle in general, is that he sometimes can miss the big picture. He can get so dialed in on a detail and be right about it. Man, Deebo is perfect for my offense for 35 reasons. Let me list them. And you listen to be like, you made a really good call. It's a really good point. But just step back, man. Step back and see the whole picture. You're you got tunnel vision sometimes.
That's it.
And
that's what I'm talking about. That's my thing. And then like, look, DK Metcalf, right? The most over talked about 3-cone drill in the history of the NFL. The Seattle Seahawks didn't draft him and say, man, we want you to run routes in short spaces. And we want you to run that
3-cone right now.
They used him in a way that, okay, he's big, he's fast, go. Like it's again, one thing doesn't knock a player down, one thing shouldn't lift a player up, but it's just the tunnel vision of, okay, I'm locked in on Jalen Hurd, but you're dismissing Terry McLaurin and other people on the board. It's frustrating, man. Like, where would this team be and what position would they be in to draft other people if they draft Terry McLaurin and he becomes the same player? Because I had someone on Twitter telling me, oh, it doesn't matter. Jimmy doesn't throw the ball down the field. I was like, yeah, well, neither does Alex Smith, Kyle Allen, or Dwayne Haskins. And when you look at his success by route, everything was 15 and in. Jimmy would have made him fine. He would have been fine. He would have been fine with Jimmy. So like that's the part that I feel like Jimmy gets a little bit
open on everything.
Exactly. Everything. And he ran slants like crazy last year. So like we'll see this year because Fitz has a propensity to throw the ball down the field. But Terry McLaurin would have been beautiful here. And I hate to keep harping on things like this, but it's just like, man, there's 49er fans that'll tell you, I can't wait to see Jalen Hurd, and I think that this, and this. Okay, you can think all that. Why are you so confident about that? That's my thing. How can you be confident in anything that he can give you when I know that Terry McLaurin is really good? I know he is.